Hello, everybody. My name is Banana Man, and I suck at Starcraft 2. Today, we're going to review the two games I played in my third tournament. Bear with me, the intro is going to be a little long because I need to explain it. We won't be covering the first two tournaments because they were single elimination, and I got Ling flooded both times and lost within 6 minutes each, as I alluded to in the video talking about me having to set up all this stuff. They go about as you expect. The wall wasn't a wall, and the Lings got in, and I just lost it. So, I won't be showing those because there's not much to show. What was funny about the second attempt is that I was thrown into a Grand Master level tournament. You heard me right. Little old me was the lowest ranked player at about 2,800. The next lowest was about 3,800. And then everyone else was above 4,000. Then, sitting at the top seed, a barcode Zerg ranked top 110 Grand Master. I'm not sure why I was thrown in there. But after waiting to get into my games both times, I got royally destroyed and eliminated from the match. So, my third tournament was ranked for diamond players. So, I was still a little outmatched, but I was actually near the average MMR. The lowest was around 2.4, and the highest was around 4,000. So, I was still outmatched, but I felt a little more confident, especially with some of the matches between the tournaments, which will be in the other video that uploads with this. Anyway, so I got a buy-in for my first match, and my next two matches were against Protoss. So we're going to be covering both of those today. Thanks for listening to the longer intro. I had fun with... I played for 6 hours in a row. It was a lot. There were some gamer moments. But you know, we're here to review my tournament matches, so let's jump right into game number 1. Here at the bottom of Inside and Out, we have Venomance. And at the top, we have Smith Fire. So, this game, I really wanted to try and win. This was, I believe, the 2.4 rated player, so I was confident that I would at least pose a threat to this kind of player, and I was ready to try my best and win the game. So I think the first couple minutes went pretty well. My gate was pretty quick. I go for a 2-gate, and then into a core, into my Nexus. With this, I believe my opponent went Nexus into core, which is a little interesting. But I think things went pretty easy. My opponent tries to surround my probe, but doesn't do too well. I think you need to pull these guys first. You need to pull the guys over here, and then surround him. But that's not what happened. And even then, I can mineral walk to another place. So my opponent is saving up for the Nexus. I don't realize this. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and block the Nexus or try and block the core. I don't do either. Instead, I just kind of sit there. But I do get my core a lot quicker. A lot quicker. I get a 135 core around that time. And I get a Nexus before 2 minutes. So, very good. Even though my partner's Nexus is closer, his core is going to be much later, which means his gate will be later, which means his blink will be later, which means his stalkers will be later. Not in that order. So I then also decide to go, alright, we're going to go for DTs. We're gonna try our DT harass. It went well for me in another game on Inside and Out versus a Protoss. But I think I should just cut out the DTs. I think it's better to get something else. It's better to go for a Robo or a Stargate or anything else. So I'm not sure. But I confirm that he's getting a gas. I confirm that his core is late and that he's only now getting his second gate. So also his wall is non-existent. You want to have your gateway here and here so you can at least block adepts. They at least take a little bit longer. But my opponent doesn't do that. I go for Stalker. And I think I go for Sentry. Yep. No, that's my opponent. I go for Stalker. What do my notes say? My notes say around 3 minutes here I get to snipe these two probes. Oh, I don't go for Sentry. I just go for my Twilight right away. So my Twilight is quite quick because I'm going for the GTs. But my opponent is going for... What's the Robo Bay? The Robo is all the way in the back. This one, I don't believe I get to scout. Yes, I do not know that there's a Robo right there. All I know is... not much, to be honest. I don't know what tech he's going with. I probably, absolutely, should be scouting this. Fortunately, I don't. Not until a little bit. So, I get... My DTs aren't out yet. My Dark Shrine isn't up. So, instead I go for my third base. And by this point I should be making my Dark Shrine. Instead, I'm probing, which is smart. And getting an Observer. So, I keep mixing up the colors, that's my bad. Unfortunately, my opponent gets an Observer, which kind of just automatically counters my Dark Shrine. And, okay, we're back on it. By about 5 minutes in, with this probe, I scout Stalkers here, and I scout these two warp gates, which means my opponent is up to a total of 4 gates. That, I think, should have been a pretty big tell. That my opponent was going for some kind of aggression. Unfortunately, it kind of just went by me. And I kind of was just like, okay, sure. I get my gate, I get my Robo facility up. My opponent has this Observer scouting that my Stalkers are coming up. And my DTs, they're on the way. My Dark Shrine is going to be really late, which means my DTs are going to be really late. Which is unfortunate. But attacking here, I noticed that there's a lot of Stalkers. It's currently... Actually, I have more Stalkers, which is interesting. And the Immortal doesn't come down yet. So I don't know that he has an Immortal. I just know that he has an semblance of gateway units. Not really in one direction. Which is rather interesting. But with his 4 warp gates, he now has way more he has a much stronger ability to just get army up, and my 2 DTs do absolutely nothing, which also really sucks. So I just kind of get blind countered on accident. I don't think my opponent knows I have a Dark Shrine. Yeah, he doesn't scout it until after he kills them, which sucks. Thankfully he doesn't get to scout anything else, but he already knows that there's a Dark Shrine because he killed my 2 DTs, so he's just chilling here going for 4 more gates. This is something that I don't scout. I have no scouting on this whatsoever, so this is where things kind of just go a little poorly for me. Just going for a double Robo Bay, and I've got my Robo Bay and a Forge, but very little infrastructure. And I think I notice, I think this stalker can see them. Absolutely can. While my DTs do get into the main base, thanks to my warp prism, I get attacked here, and my opponent just has so much stronger stuff. So he can just snipe my battery, which he does, which is a very smart play. And from here, it's mostly over. There's nothing that these guys can really do. Even though there's no detection, there will be. But even if there wasn't, my opponent can just waltz in and destroy everything, because this observer is able to see them. And really, it's still in vision? I guess he was barely in vision. That sucks. So he just is able to clear that and go in and just absolutely blast it. I'm not too sure how I could have... I think I should have just kept scouting, and I didn't. Maybe getting an adept or a sentry would have been a smarter play, and just kind of realizing that those two gates were really early, and maybe there was something to that. Unfortunately, I didn't really notice that. I didn't really react. I didn't respond. I just kind of went with a build. And I think the DT build isn't something that I can really afford. I think I just need to play it safer, get Blink, get a Sentry, get something, you know? Something that can help me defend instead of DTs. It also sucks that my opponent just played it really safe and went for Observer. They probably checked my matches, my former matches, and saw that I played DTs. So they went for an Observer and a fast push. But, you know, at that point it's just over. And I eventually tap out, pulling all the boys to no avail. Sadly, yeah, I got kind of blind countered. And I don't think... The third base would have been nice, but I think I should have gone into more gates and a stronger army so that I could actually fight, but I didn't. So there you have it. Starting at the bottom of Moondance, we have Banana Man. And at the top, we have my opponent, Big Dirty. I believe he was ranked 3,000, around that. And I skipped a little bit ahead because nothing really happened. Not a whole lot happened in the first couple minutes. Just scouting, confirming, seeing what's going on. This is after my game where I lost to Smithfire, so I was really ready to scout, trying to pay attention to everything. I wasn't going to go for DTs, and in the future, I need to look up a proper PvP build. But I figured Blink was standard to get, and some kind of prism pressure or otherwise going into Immortals / Disruptors and a Robo Bay would be solid enough to get me somewhere. As long as I had a plan that I'd get Blink, some other stuff, I felt pretty okay. My Nexus timing was, from what I remember, pretty alright. I get a Stalker, though I am supply blocked. Chronoing a supply blocked Stalker, which is just pain. Let's see how long it takes for me to notice. Oh man, that is horrible. The full chrono just gets wasted on the Stalker. I didn't even notice that in my notes. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Well, I do notice that my opponent doesn't have a Nexus, so I'm a little worried about that. I noticed the Stalker, and that's about it. So I really don't know what's going on. My opponent taking 2 super defensive batteries, probably not wanting to die to anything. But I feel like I'm ahead. I mean, I'm lower on workers, but that'll change once I start going into double probe production. I've got Stalkers already on the way. I've got Blink as soon as possible. I believe everything is as quick as it can be. unless I'm mistaken. I think I've been on top of everything except for the supply, which really sucked. But I start going into double pro production. My opponent starts his Nexus the moment mine finishes. And I send 2 Stalkers out to pro. Behind this, we're both getting a Robo Bay, but my opponent's is faster. And I get a Sentry for scouting. This is something I think I'm going to start practicing more of. Just having those sentries to keep sending hallucinations. Now, I think in here I tried to get some poking, but notice that he has all of all of his Stalkers there in the natural. I try not to use he when describing, because I don't know. You know, I try to use they instead, but sometimes it just slips and it's easy to say. But, whatever. Better than saying big dirty every single time. But I'm getting a prism to hopefully go into a kind of harass, while my sentry is building enough energy for a hallucination. My opponent really late on the Twilight Council, so I'm actually doing quite well this game. Leaving my base, this is where my notes kind of meet. 5 minutes in, leaving my base a little undefended with this prism is kind of risky. Scouting at the same time, maybe I should have done that first, but I think the move out is okay, especially with this timing, blink finishing right before my opponent has even started blink. Feels pretty good. I decided to keep the Phoenix hallucination mostly in the natural so that I wouldn't get too blindsided, or I wouldn't draw the Stalkers over here. Instead, I get my 5 Stalkers here, and this is where I should pull out. I sniped the pylon. I see the Immortal. I should have just left immediately. I lose too many Stalkers for no reason. However, believe it or not, my guy barely escapes. He was 1 more volley, like less than 3 seconds away from death. And this Stalker gets out, which is crazy. But I'm scared for my life, to be honest. Because last time I saw an Immortal, I got Immortal all in. Not all in, but pressured and crushed. So I'm a little spooked. So I get a Robo Bay, and I get my own Immortal. Plus, I get my 3rd base in the back. My opponent's 3rd base, I think, is either at the same time or a little faster. And my probe count. I said it should have been faster, but it's not. That's quite disappointing. I think it was a mix of my supply block. But my ego should be ahead, especially with how late this person's Nexus was. Mine should just be ahead, but it's not, and that's really unfortunate. My opponent going in for a scout with the Observer. Noticing that I'm getting Disruptors on the way, or Colossus or something. I'm researching from my Twilight, and noticing that I have a 3rd. Which, yeah, it looks like it's about to be at the same time. I'm getting Disruptors immediately off with this, though, and I think I could go for another pressure. Probably not. But I think I end up doing that anyway. Let me check my notes. Around 8 minutes in, yeah, I decided it's time to push with my 2nd Disruptor. Going into the fight, I think I get... No, I don't get lucky. At some point, I start to make it Observer, I believe, and I just happen to catch his Observer. We're both getting +1 at about the same time, so there won't be too much of a difference. And I build up a force that'll equate to around 14 Stalkers, 2 Disruptors, 8 Zealots, and an Immortal, versus my opponent's 4 Immortals, 11 Zealots, 2 Archons, which he gets from the Dark Shrine, and 6 Stalkers. So that'll be around the time I decide to push, which will be around 8:45. I go to confirm a scout with this Phoenix. Let's check my... Oh, shoot. Sorry. See, I noticed that army, and I'm like, okay, well, we can give it a try. Unfortunately, I think
idle workers are so untidy.
this is where that gap with him having +1 really makes a difference. Because I believe you get the 3-shot stalkers if you have +1 as an immortal against an armored stalker, and so I kind of get destroyed. My opponent going double robotics facility, and I'm supply blocked, so I can't really get too many zealots into the main base. I do think maybe getting them here would be better, because I'm trying to reinforce in the main attack. But if I wasn't, you know, only at 104 out of 109, maybe a warp in over here would be much better. Kind of force the issue. Instead, I go for the robotics facility. I get these zealots killed for no reason. There was no reason to have them there. But these 2 shots here take out a lot for my opponent. So I feel pretty okay. I feel like maybe this warp in should have some more. Maybe after these zealots, I then bring the warp prism back to warp in, and my positioning is rather bad. These disruptors should be farther back. My sentry should be farther back, and they're not, so they get covered. But I was going to say I thought maybe I'd get a shot at that one, but I just sacrificed this disruptor too. So some pretty poor control with my specialty units, which is unfortunate. And with +1 not kicking in yet, I kind of just get blasted. I definitely should pull back here. Though I am getting some good damage into his main. You know, he can't just stroll back over and attack me. So I have to retreat. And while this is happening, I do get all of this damage in. And then I finally decide to go in for the workers, which I do. I should pull out with the prism. Don't believe I do. These zealots decide to keep attacking. +1 is finally here, but at this point, my opponent has 3 robo bays and is going, or robo facilities, and is going triple disruptor play off of against my single robotics facility, which is a little tough, but I do have, oh no, I'm actually low on gate counts as well, so I'm behind in upgrades and production. The only benefit is that everything is going to stall for him for a bit. So maybe, because eventually I go into getting this, I get this 4th, and I go into this double robo. Maybe it would be a better decision to skip out on the 4th. That's what I have in my notes. But I also think that I need to get all this infrastructure, and while my opponent is kind of getting ready to attack, I still have some time. Just curious on how long it'll last. +2 is already on the way, which I think is a great decision. I actually think it is, because, well, if I'm able to stall, which the benefit of defending with disruptors is being able to stall for time. But that would mean I'd have to be on the map, you know, keeping him off my bases. +2 could become important. Unfortunately, though, my opponent's army is rather large, with 6 disruptors, and I believe he goes in for a fight. I think the game was pretty much decided when I just had really poor unit control, and that +1 difference with the amount of immortals that my opponent had, it just kind of tipped the balance once my disruptors got killed. If they had gotten a second volley off, I think I actually would have been pretty okay. Sadly, that's not how that went. I do get a 4th, and finally am pulling in workers, like leading. Definitely think I should have more. My opponent is getting a 4th, and decides to push in here. And oh, another big mistake. Where are my batteries? I should have 3 batteries here, at least, you know? Or at least 1 for a super battery, but I don't. And that's rather unfortunate. So I go in. Oh. I go in to try and get a shot, but lose a huge amount of supply. I lose disruptors. I lose quite a lot. My opponent able to dodge my disruptors. And unfortunately, at this point, despite, you know, I could have gotten all these guys, but I don't. Instead, I lose all of my disruptors, and at this point, it's game. I'll speed up a little bit, because it's just kind of a slow suffering at this point, sadly. +2, unfortunately, I was about to finish. If I had stalled, I think if I had stalled with some harass, which I think I tried to, but they cleared up. If I had stalled just a little longer, +2, I think, would have definitely been helpful. +2 with some batteries would have definitely been important. Kept the probe here to scout if he was coming, but at this point, it's game. Then my opponent gets another strong shot off and just annihilates me. I don't know. I feel like that one engagement really decided the pacing of the game and allowed my opponent to just go in for it. I'm getting +3, but that's kind of I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the game. I think I did that just for whatever. Really, I think the big mistake was this initial engagement. I should have pulled the disruptors back, saved up for a guardian shield. That would have made the difference for +1. For his +1, that would have definitely made a difference. And with batteries up to 3rd, I think I could have held. And then while he was attacking, gone for a counter or something, you know, to buy time, because that's what I needed. Because once I had time, my 4th base was faster, which meant I would have gotten more if I had stayed in the lead with workers, which I didn't. So, really, really unfortunate for my first attempt at 3 tournaments in a row. It was 6 hours of playing, and yeah, it was a lot. It was tough, but I had a lot of fun. I had a surprising amount of fun. So, I'm going to try and do it again. I'm really going to go for it. And yeah, I hope this was enjoyable. I hope next time we get paired with maybe some easier opponents and I don't make as egregious as mistakes. But you know, that's always the hope. I'm definitely going to do some laddering tonight. Going to try and play for an hour every day. Maybe not that exact time, but just play at least a handful of matches to stay improving, stay at least like my motor skills are at least somewhat tuned. But yeah, this has been fun. This is kind of like a milestone, I think, YouTube video wise, because this is my first tournament, and I've made, this will be my, in combination with the other video, this will be my 7th video. So yeah, I think I'm enjoying it. I'm realizing how long this is taking to make stuff. It took me a whole day to take notes. Not a whole day, but a whole, like, work day, we'll call it, to take notes on all the games that I played, to skim through good games, to skim through boring games, and then it's taken me all day, not all day, but a couple hours to record, to re-record, to get all that done. And then on top of that, that's not even mentioning the editing that hopefully I can get in, and the encoding and rendering and the uploading, which will also take probably all of tomorrow. So I'm going to try and get these out as fast as I can, but I think I'm going to prioritize actually playing the game. So videos will be coming out every couple days, every 3 days, every 4 days is what I try to shoot for, because that's about how long it's been taking. And yeah, this is kind of an end ramble, because it's a bit of an important milestone, I think. Lots to improve, obviously, but I think from where I was and where I am, I think I've already improved a decent amount. So, a little bit of an end ramble, I know. Thanks for listening, if you have. And I won't shill too much, but don't forget to like and subscribe. Um, and my name has been Banana Man, and I still very much suck at Starcraft 2. Thank you so much for watching. It means I can't describe how much it means. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day.